Podcast. This is episode 772. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my studio. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you are crafting. Well, if you've been crafting since before we last spoke, or if you've been crafting already this morning. I know I would love to hear, and I'm sure everybody else in our community would love to hear too. I think that we all get inspiration from hearing what other people are working on sometimes, just like with trends. I think it works the same way. Good morning, Grace and Geraldine, Lisa, Thea, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Yes, happy Friday Eve, happy Thursday, or happy Friday Eve. Hi, Trisha and Diane. Good morning. I can't wait to sleep in this weekend. I don't know why, but I'm having a hard time getting up in the morning this week. No idea why. I guess I'm working too late. Maybe that's the reason. Thank you, Grace. Yes, I got my hair cut yesterday. I cut a lot more off than I thought I was going to. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. At first, I thought I was just going to cut bangs. And then as I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, what else could you do? And then I realized that as much as I love my hair long, I know it looks healthier and fuller when it's shorter. So I thought, what the heck, just cut it. Since I don't go for haircuts very often, I thought, just do it. So anyway, got a bunch. I think my hair was here, so maybe I got 6 inches cut off. I don't know. It was pretty straggly though, wasn't very thick, so it definitely feels a lot thicker, shorter. And then I did something even crazier last night than cutting my hair. I went to the store and bought boxed hair dye for the first time in my life. When I lived in Michigan, I used to get highlights because my natural color is darker than the way it looks now, or it used to be. And I think that part of the reason why my hair's gone lighter over the years is graying and bleaching from the sun. And so I've really only needed to touch up my roots with a little sun in like once or twice a year for the last 13 years. So I haven't really thought about hair color, but I've noticed lately that I've been getting really gray at my temples and at the fronts. Like when I would pull my hair back, I felt like it looked gray, not blonde anymore. And that color change was draining my skin and making me uncomfortable. So I looked into getting my hair colored, and I was looking at prices upwards of $250. And I was like, and you got to do this regularly? No, you better get used to gray or bite the bullet and try a box dye at the store. So I went on FaceTime with my girlfriend last night who does use box dye from the grocery store to color her hair, and she walked me through it. We picked a color together on FaceTime, and so for the bargain basement price of $3, I got rid of my grays and even got, I mean, the back was obviously always darker because of the roots coming through. So now I got rid of my roots, but I don't care. I like looking like, I like having roots, so I will probably grow out the roots quite a bit still, but I like getting rid of the gray here so that my face didn't feel drained by the color change. Hey, I'm 48. When I'm 68, maybe I will embrace the color change. Right now, it was not making me feel comfortable. And at whatever age, if you like it or don't like it, that's fine. But it didn't take very long, and for $3, I'm really happy. Yeah, it's not for everybody, Thea. That's for sure. It's not for everybody. Some people are allergic. Some people aren't. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people's hair color it works for. Yeah, if my hair, if I like the color of my gray when I'm older, I would definitely like to go all gray, especially if I turned out to be like a Snow White. That would be my ideal. Or I'm sure I would probably be light silver to Snow White. I know my grandmother had snow white hair, and Margaret is a proud bottle blonde. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I'm a natural blonde, but now I'm technically not anymore. Even though I am, I'm technically a lighter bottle blonde. I don't care. Yeah, exactly. But it was scary and exciting all at the same time because I didn't know if I was going to mess up or not. So I like a little excitement in my life. And so that little bit of adrenaline last night, living a normally very, I wouldn't say boring, but my life is very my life is very merry-go-round, not very roller coaster-y, and I'm happy with that. So, but it also means that when you do something like that, it's a little excitement in your life. So it was fun. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're ready to grow out the gray sand shell, I think that's exciting too. You never know. It's kind of like, remember last year when we didn't know what color my plumeria was going to be in the backyard and we had that anticipation of not knowing what color? I think it would be exciting at some point to grow out your gray to find out what color it is. And if it ends up being a color you like, that's awesome. If it ends up being a color you don't like, there's things to fix. There's ways to fix it. So I do love the anticipation of that. That's fun too. I just decided that at this point in my life, I wasn't ready for it. That's all. Mary Jane, she uses box color too. And your mom did till the end. My mom is 75, I think. 74, 75. Let me think. Yeah, 74. And she still box dyes her hair too. But there's something for everybody, right? And, you know, no matter what somebody tells you on the internet, take everything with a grain of salt, including what I say, because what I do is for my personal life, and some things might be inspiring to you and some things might not be. That's okay. And some things might work for you and some things might not. And that's okay too. You know, and that goes back to what we were talking about yesterday, which we will come back to. Any bit of advice that I give you about business or side hustle or even about crafting in general, take it with a grain of salt. You can take whatever advice you get from anybody, whether it's on the internet or in person or in your family. Take it with a grain of salt because it is advice, it is inspiring, it is thought-provoking to hear what other people have to say, but it all ends up being about you and what works for you and what your goals are. So whether it's beauty advice, crafting advice, how to tie your yarn to your crochet hook at the beginning of a project, and who knew that that was going to be one of my biggest controversies, is how you tie your yarn to your crochet hook. I mean, it doesn't matter, whatever works for you. What do I always say? If you are getting the results you want with the techniques that you use now, you don't need to change. People ask me all the time, should I do continental knitting or the other way? I always forget what the other way is. It's the one I do. English? Yeah. Should I do the other one? Not if you're happy with what you're doing, right? If you're happy with what you're doing, you don't need to change. If you want to change, that's fine. But it doesn't make you an inferior crafter because you do something different than other people. It just makes you different from them. That's it. There is no negative or positive connotation that comes with being different. It is just different. We're human beings. Yes, we are more alike than we are different, but we are still unique, and that's wonderful. So whether you like or don't like, or the things that I say or the advice that I give works for you or doesn't, that's okay, because I'm unique, you're unique, and sometimes because we're more alike than we are different, sometimes getting information from other people is extremely helpful, and sometimes it just doesn't work for you, so that's okay too. I do want to apply this to talking about the side hustle aspect of knitting and crochet today, but I also got a package at my front door this morning. So I'm going to ask you, what would you rather do? Would you rather reveal what's in this package first, or would you rather talk about side hustle first? We'll try to get to both. We've got 22 minutes. We can probably get to both. But I think you're going to want to see what's in the package. I have not opened it yet, so you can see it is seamed. It is still a seam. I'm not faking. I'm not faking like, oh, the package isn't open yet. And really, I opened it. I legit have not opened the package. But I do know what was expected to arrive this morning. So I do know what should be in there. If I'm wrong, well, then what do you call that? Egg on my face. You know how bad I am with expressions. If I said that wrong, let me know. But yes, it is the Okay. All right. I won't look. I won't look. I'm going to open it. You guys are going to see it. You guys are going to see it first. You're seeing it first before me. Woo-hoo! Look at that. It looks good. See, it has the proof copy written on the front, which it says not for resale on there. And you'll notice a lot of my copies up here. I don't waste sellable copies up there. I try to put my proof copies up there. Okay, so you may be wondering, what does this mean? This means that I have the ability now to proofread the book one more time with checking the quality of the photos, the layout of the print, making sure nothing comes too close to the edge of the print. So I'm going to give myself a couple of days to look over it still, just to be thorough, but I will show you it's looking good. Look at that. So just like we talked about, I did close-up shots of just overhead shots, very large, in the pattern section. So as you're reading it as a crafter to read the instructions to make it, you can see up close and personal what that stitch looks like and what the shape of the hat looks like. And then if you wanted to see how it looks on, we did the photo collage, whether they're on the babies or on me in the back of the book. And if you wanted to see these photos bigger, you could find them on my website as well. I see Judy's been sharing links. Judy shared a link to order the copy of the book. Thank you, Judy. So while we're still in pre-order stage, because the books, I have not even ordered the print copies yet because I need to proofread this first. As soon as I proofread this today, tomorrow, this weekend or whatever, I will be ordering copies. And as soon as they arrive and I start signing them, wrapping them and shipping them, then the pre-order will be over. So you still have a little more time to take advantage of the pre-order promotion. What that means is when you order the book, you will then be eligible for the coupon code for the ebook, and I'm going to be giving a $7 off coupon for the ebook when the paperback releases. So that email is not coming out quite yet, but when it comes out, you'll get it if you ordered the book on pre-order. So you still have a few more days to order the pre-order, which is very exciting. I'm so excited to read it, but I'm even more excited to show you guys. The proof copy is here, which means we are that much closer to release date. I hope you guys are excited, which means I have to come up with a new inscription every time. Those of you who have bought my books in the past know this, but every time I write a new book, I come up with a new inscription for when I personalize the inside of the book. So let's say you were going to order this. Let's say your name is Betty. I would write to Betty, a personalized inscription, and then heart, comma, and then my signature. And I've done this for years and years and years on all 20 books. Yes, this is going to be book number 20. And each time I come up with a new book, I come up with a new inscription. I didn't for the first 13 books. The first 13 books, I did happy knitting, happy crochet, or thank you. But once I started independently publishing, so starting with Motif Magic, I came up with a specific unique inscription for each of the titles that somewhat plays on the theme of the book. So now it's time to come up with the next one. I better get cracking because time is of the essence here. Thanks, Sharon. This is not a scarf, actually. What I am wearing today is the Lila Berry crochet shawl, which is a big triangle shawl, but I'm wearing it like a cowl. So let me show you how big and beautiful this is. This is the Lila Berry crochet shawl. It is a one ball project in Be So Fine yarn. This is color $1 Million Red. It's a top-down crochet shawl with that beautiful little mini pineapple stitch that I like to call a strawberry stitch. So pretty. You can the pattern comes with written instructions as well as a big detailed chart, and I do believe that there is a video tutorial here on my YouTube channel as well. Not 100% on that, but it is a one ball project, so you could make this with Be So Fine yarn. really huge for a one ball project, wouldn't you say? And so I've turned it around, put the center triangle point in front, wrap the edge, wrap the tails around, and then I loosely tie them into a little, very little loose knot at the end here with two little ties, and then it gives me the ability to blouse up that center point and kind of let them billow on each other and drape in between the layers, and that's what gives me this cowl look. And I just love that little tie at the end. It almost looks like a little bow tie there. So it's been chilly here, and I'm having a heck of a time waking up in the morning, and I think it's weather related, who knows. Anyway, so I got dressed this morning. I was like, I'm not warm enough. I need something extra around my neck. And gosh darn, do I love this color, $1 Million Red. Such a pretty color. Not that I can pick a favorite. I do love so many different colors, but $1 Million Red's a good one. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Hi, Melanie. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Thea. Yes, I love a little pop of color against white. Aw, Chris says I look like $1 million. I will take that. Thank you. Okay, so, all right, we talked about the pre-order. We have our proof copy. We are definitely getting close. Do I have an Amazon book stand suggestion to hold the book open? Oh, that's a good idea, Angela. I will think about that and let you know, because that is a good idea from a crafting standpoint, to have the ability to open a book and have your hands free. I will find something that I think would be good that doesn't compromise the book, but would do that, and I will order one and make sure I like it, and then give you the suggestion, because that is a great suggestion. I agree. Okay, hi Edna, good morning. Okay, so let's go back to talking about side hustle again. I feel like a lot of people really enjoyed that conversation yesterday, and I love, love, love being able to take, anytime someone asks me about crochet as a business, I always feel like I've got to start out with the disclaimer, but this is a lot of work. It's not what you think it is. And I feel the need to get all of that out first to make sure people that I don't misrepresent how incredibly hard and how incredibly labor intensive the type of business I'm in is. I really like to lead with that, to not give anybody any false hope that this is a get rich quick program. Anyway, having said that, I am so thrilled that we've been able to evolve past that component of the conversation to talk about side hustle. And yesterday was a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of people were intrigued by the idea. And from reading the comments later in the day, I feel like quite a few people felt really empowered by the information that, wow, I don't have to beat myself up because the prices don't cover everything. Wow, it doesn't make me a failure to want to do something that I can't technically call a successful profit rearing business. And so, and it's not just from my advice, but everything else you hear on the internet or watching Shark Tank. If you love watching Shark Tank, you'll realize, wow, that doesn't apply to side hustle for selling knit and crochet items either. So it gets really confusing. So I'm saying, let's take that labor cost and call it, wow, I love spending time working on my crafts, right? So whatever we want to call it, we can label it anything we want. But ultimately, as a crafter who wants to do a side hustle, your labor cost it's not a cost anymore. It's something, it's your hobby, it's your lifeline, it's your zen, it's your mental health therapy. It's what you use it for that brings so much joy to your life. As long as that's the goal, is to continue doing that, it doesn't have to be part of the labor cost in a side hustle. So what ends up happening is when you sell your items, if they can cover the cost of the yarn and they can help you pay for more yarn, then it fuels itself as a side wheel that doesn't have anything to do with taking away from your time that you enjoy making. I hope that makes sense. And before we go into it, I do want to pause and make sure that I'm not missing any questions. For example, somebody yesterday said, if we're going to look at this as a side hustle and price our items as a side hustle, not covering the labor cost? Won't we be taking away from businesses that do? And in theory, I agree with what you're saying. Yes, you can undermine the value of retail price, but in this particular situation, you aren't undermining anyone else because the market is not willing to accept labor cost on high labor costs. So there is no other market that you're damaging. I don't think that market exists outside of very slim niche areas like I said, I've heard of some boutiques in Beverly Hills. I've heard of some boutiques in Manhattan. I've heard of some very specific niche markets that are very small that could even be urban legends, who knows? But outside of that, there is no other market. So I feel like, yes, in theory, if you're going to underprice something from a business standpoint, that makes sense. But if you're trying to do a side hustle where you're not including that labor cost, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. What kind of license do you have to sell? To sell finished goods on the internet, I don't think that you need to have a license to do that. If I'm wrong, and it might depend from state to state, I do believe that it's considered extra money at the end of the year that you would need to account for on your taxes, but I don't believe you need a license to sell items on Etsy or whatever. I would definitely check on Etsy's website though for things like that. Let's see, Laura said, if you do what you love, it's not truly work. That said, effort in equals effort out. Nothing worthwhile comes from free. That's true. There's always more details to things than that. But yes, as long as you're enjoying it, then yes, it's definitely a lot more fun than something you don't. Angela, I have a friend who embroidered one of Celine Dion's outfits. In the end, she made 50 cents an hour. Exactly, my point. Yes, does she get the claim to fame that she made something for Celine Dion? Absolutely. But I have to tell you, I remember one time when I did a full-length white, beautiful dress for Vogue Knitting magazine, I ended up making under $1 an hour. I almost made the cover, and I even got to see one of the mock-up covers of it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something that I made money on. It was something that I got exposure for. Which is the other thing, like we were talking about, if we end up talking about promoting your patterns and selling your patterns, there's a couple of theories for ways to get your name out there, right? And there's always a give and take. Sometimes you do things for exposure, sometimes you do things for actual profit. And that even goes back to like a grocery store. They have loss leaders in front of the store, right? Around the end caps. They sell things at a loss to get you in the store. And in business and in side hustle, there are things that you do to do stuff like that. Do I sell completed items? Not very often. Occasionally I sell completed items in sample sales on my website, but I do not sell finished items very often. But we are talking about encouraging others to want to sell, who want to sell their items. So again, let's go back to labor cost. Put that aside. You're wanting to justify spending more time crafting without having to justify to your significant other why you're spending more yarn or why you need more closet space to hold all of your shawls and scarves and bags and stuff. So if you need, this is a great way to expand your world so that you can justify spending more time knitting and crocheting. And if you can sell it and cover the cost to be able to buy more yarn, you're supporting your craft more. You're justifying being able to do your craft more. It's all good. So how do you sell it? That can be the hard part, right? And there's so many things involved. Yesterday I talked about, right, you got to find people that can appreciate quality of yarn as well as quality of time spent making something. And that's not easy to do, Lily. So finding people that do appreciate handmade special items is really important. And that's part of the mystery. That's part of the challenge, is finding people that can appreciate what you're doing in the first place. But they are out there. And, you know, part of that is getting the word out there. It does sound scary sometimes, right? Oh, I got to talk to people. Oh, I've got to promote myself. It doesn't mean you have to be a hardcore salesman. It just means you have to put it out there. I'm not saying that when you initially tell people, hey, I'm selling things, hey, if you know anybody, that's not a hard say. That's not a hard close. That's just getting the word out there. And I totally understand how scary that can sound, and it sounds very fearful. So sometimes you just have to step outside of your comfort zone and just do it even though you're scared. That is something that has helped me a ton over the years. Sometimes you're not going to get rid of that fear before you can do something that scares you. Sometimes you have to do what scares you while it still scares you. That's huge, huge. So let's say you're going to take photos of everything, or maybe take a video of everything. Get a tripod, put your phone on the tripod, push record, or go outside in some natural light. Oh, we talked about lighting yesterday, but I wanted to point out just natural lighting by itself is not key. Natural soft lighting is key. So what do I mean by that? You don't want to go out at 12 noon in the summer and start taking photos or videos, because the lighting is extremely harsh when the sun's right overhead. It casts dark shadows on your face because of the shapes on your face. So like, for example, I have deep set eyes. So for me, if the sun's hitting me over the top of the head, I'm going to get a shadow from my eyebrows and my forehead down to my cheek. And what's going to happen? It's going to darken in my eyes and sink in my eyes, and you're not going to be able to see any of the features on my face. Also, that bright, harsh light blows out all of the textures and highlights. So what you want to find is morning light and evening light. So the hour to 2 hours after sunrise, the hour to 2 hours before sunset, those are really great times to do natural lighting. And I'm talking from a standpoint of not being a photographer, not having fancy equipment or lighting kits or any of that stuff. I'm talking about just using your cell phone without a flash. That's the other thing, no flash. Flash affects the color of things too. So you want natural light that's later in the day, or diffused, like standing in front of the window. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's a window right here, right? I want to show you. If you do your, and this is a bad time of day for it, so the light would need to be, see how I have that, my windows are deep set into the wall. So what you would want to do is stand next to a window that doesn't have that overhang, but you can get a lot of great natural light next to a window, even if you can't go outside. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you just because it's winter wherever you're at and it's snowing outside doesn't mean you can't get great light. You can get great light anywhere. You can either go next to a window, you could stand in a doorway, or you could go outside. But it's just that it's that softer indirect light that's going to work much better than really harsh light. Oh, hi Chris from Scotland. Yeah, I'd like to go to Scotland too. Yeah, I'm definitely on a kick with white nails. I've been doing white nail polish for quite a while now. I'm just still so in love with it. I've been doing it on my toenails too. I just love it. Okay, so we were talking about photography, talking about overcoming your fears of telling people what you're doing. If you can somehow just do it anyway, even if you're scared, send an email to all your friends with photos of your finished items. Take a little video and say, hey, these are the things that I'm selling, and send it in an email. Send the photos or video in a text and just say, hey, if you know anybody that might be interested in these things, you never know, right? That just put the word out there. You don't have to be, it doesn't necessarily come across annoying just because you're telling people what you're doing. If you sent them an email every day, sent them texts every day. Yes, that could get annoying, but just getting the word out there is not going to do that. And then if you are inclined to do any of this on social media, you have the ability to go live. You have the ability to share photos. You have the ability to share videos. You can do all of that stuff on any social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You don't need to have a professional account to do any of that stuff. Does anybody have any questions about what I've talked about so far? Because going into social media is a whole different subject too. So we might have to pick that up where we left off, but I'm willing to stay a little bit longer just to make sure we don't have any questions. I know there's a side conversation going on, but does anybody have any questions about what we've talked about for getting started, getting the word out there about about your side hustle? Hi, Kat. Welcome, Stitch. That's a great question, Laura. Yes, it's very easy to find decals for putting on your car. There are a couple of things to consider about that. Number one, price, right? Look for price. Do you live in a neighborhood where you're allowed to put stuff on your door? I know when I've lived in condos before, I was not allowed to put things on my car. I'm in a city neighborhood now, like I'm just in blocks. I don't have like a gate or condo association. There's no association where I live. We're just free for all for ourselves, I guess. Anyway, no association where I live, so there are no rules about that. So I could put it on my car now. However, for me, I don't want to put anything on my car to draw attention to people following me home or stalking me. I have a little bit of a different situation just because I promote myself so much on the internet to begin with that I would really not like to see any stalker situations following me home. But having said that, that's me personally. If you are in a situation where you don't feel like that would be an issue where you live, whether it's because of who you live with or whatever. If you don't feel like the area that you live in would make you feel uncomfortable sharing personal information on your car, yes, then putting something on your car is a great way of advertising. And once you set it, you can forget it. You don't have to do anything about it anymore. But keep in mind, make sure that where you work, your day job, is not going to be a problem. Where you live is not going to be a problem. And even if those two situations are a problem, a door decal, I believe, can go on and off. So I believe you could still take it on and off when you needed to as well. That's a great question, though. And obviously having business cards or having flyers or having something so that every time you leave the house and you wear something, because you can be your own best advertiser, right? If you leave the house a lot, let's say you have a job where you can wear things that you make, wearing things that you make is your best form of advertising, because then anytime you're wearing something you make and someone says, oh my God, I love that, where'd you get it? I make them and I sell them, here's my card, call me or check out my website. Like, you would just become second nature, right? You just hand that out every time somebody asks. Yeah, Thea, I don't want the attention when I'm driving my car, but that doesn't mean it's not right for other people. Yes, Christine. Yep, working on the Tunisian cardigan as well. Got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now. But yeah, I think my best advice as far as advertising, if you're leaving the house, is to wear the things you make every single time you leave the house. Come up with something to always wear. Exactly. The Stitch Foundry says every time she wears a crochet shawl or cardigan, someone says something. Me too. Every single time I wear my crochet earrings, I carry a bag, I wear a shawl, I wear a dress, I wear a top. Does not matter. Every single time someone stops and says, oh my gosh, I love that. Where'd you get it? So I don't personally sell my finished items, so it's bittersweet when someone says all that, because then I have to say, oh yeah, I don't sell them. I teach people how to make them. And the vast majority of the average person, general population is not interested in that. Occasionally they are, and then giving them a card to show them my website for patterns and yarn does work. But if you're selling finished items, way, 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 way easier to have the ability to hand out cards and information when you're wearing stuff. Thanks, Sandshell. That's great, Anna. Does anybody have any other questions about what we talked about? We can pick this back up again tomorrow. There's still lots more to talk about. Just starting for marketing, because I think marketing is a really large subject, because the key is getting people to know what you're doing, right? And so we've very briefly started talking about social media, which I didn't even mention Etsy in there. And we very briefly started talking about photography, but there's a lot to it. And if any little bit of information that I give you is helpful to you, great. If it's not, consider it grains of salt and let it go. Because just because one thing I tell you doesn't work for you doesn't mean some of the other things might work for you. No one's full makeup is going to work for 100% for someone else. So everything that I believe in, every part of my experiences, every part of my opinions is never going to 100% work for you. Your job when you listen to somebody else is to take the parts that work for you, maybe question the parts that don't work for you, and maybe try to understand, why does this work for me and why does this not work for me? Okay, that makes sense. And apply what you learn, good and bad, to what you're doing. It's not bad. That's good. That's good. You should never follow someone 100% without questioning what they're telling you. I never expect anybody to just say, oh, well, Kristin said to do this, so I got to do this. No, take what I tell you and think about how it works for you and see if it works for your situation, and modify if necessary. And I'm here. Our community's here, we're all here to answer your questions. So if you have questions or you want to brainstorm about what you're doing, we are talking about exploring the side hustle. And if you have questions about it, if you have experiences with it, I'm here to share my knowledge with you. I'm here to share my experience with you, and I'm here to brainstorm with you. So let's figure out what works for you. I'm happy to share what I know, and if it applies to you, great. If it doesn't, maybe it's a learning experience for all of us. Thank you again, everybody, for your great questions today. I know that having your questions makes such a big difference in the conversation here. Thank you also for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I know we went long today, but these questions were just so fantastic, and it just really makes such an interesting conversation. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. And if you haven't pre-ordered 24 Crochet Hats book, go ahead and do it, because the pre-order is still going on. Thanks. Bye-bye.